You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
As for myself, I've also spent a fair amount of time with Jordan Peterson trying to get to the bottom of what his religious views are.
Did a man have intercourse with Mary and produce Jesus? That's a factual question. It's not a value question.
You must understand what you're being asked here.
If you're saying that morality and purpose cannot come from science, is the opposite of that true, that morality and purpose can only come from God?
That's a way of defining it, yes.
Okay.
That's right, that's good. So I would say that with regard to the first claim, say, atheists don't understand what they're rejecting. Because I would say, by definition, God is the unity upon which moral claims are based. That's a definition. Right.
So this is really important, and it might be helpful in understanding Jordan Peterson's religious views. I made a whole video a while back deconstructing what I think Jordan Peterson's views on God are, but I'll try to summarize here. Peterson tends to point out that in order to do anything, you need some kind of value or preference. If I want to pick up this mug and have a sip of coffee, I need to prefer the state of affairs in which I've drunk a sip of coffee than the state of affairs in which I haven't. That preference is a value, and without that value, I just wouldn't pick up the mug and start drinking from it. But with any value, we can keep digging for more fundamental values. Why did you show up to work? Well, because you value not getting fired. Why don't you want to get fired? Well, because you want to make money. Why do you want to make money? To provide for your family. Well, why do you want to provide for your family? Well, because you love your family. Okay, why do you love your family? You can keep pushing this on, and it seems like it will go on forever unless you reach some kind of foundational value. For Jordan Peterson, that foundational value is God. And he doesn't mean that, well, I think that that foundational value is probably God, although, it could be a bunch of things. I think it's God. No, for Jordan Peterson, it's a matter of definition. He just defines that foundational value as God. That's why he says,
by definition, God is the unity upon which moral claims are based. That's a definition. And then we could say, well, the highest place is the divine place, and we could make that a matter of definition. And so then we might say, well, what should be in the divine place? And I would say, well, it has to be something that you can look at the world through, and it has to be something you act out. And then we could say, well, that still leaves residual mystery. And then we might ask, well, how do we characterize it? And I would say we characterize that using fiction, because fiction is the abstraction of hierarchies of attentional prioritization and action. And so we could say that in the highest sense, in the biblical corpus, God is the ultimate fictional character. Right.
So this can lead to some confusion, because the atheist might ask, well, do you need God for morality? And Peterson says, God is kind of the definition of the basis of morality, so I don't even really understand your question. Unfortunately, I don't think he's always very good at explaining this, which, as I said, can lead to some confusion. And I think a lot of the talking past each other is coming from the fact that they're just talking about two different things when they use the word God. For a lot of Christians, and seemingly for most of the atheists here, God is the traditional tri-omni being. Omnipowerful, omnibenevolent, omniscient.
Omniscient, omnipotent, agentic, supernatural being. Some sort of God that is all-powerful, all-perfect.
Omnipotent, all-loving God.
Just like maximally great in all like the
it's a
great-making
definition.
qualities.
Sure.
The all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good, perfect notion of God.
But for Peterson, God is just the basis of the value hierarchy, which is quite a different kind of being.
So you and I agree on a lot. I mean, when it comes to talking about how men should be masculine and things of that nature, you and I are 100% in agreement. We just don't agree on the justification that God is the only thing that provides morality.
It's not a justification, it's a definition.
What's the difference then?